So here's one of the larger food plots. It's really basically in the very center of the property. Because this whole time in my mind right now, I'm thinking, I really like this property. You know, what am I willing to pay? Am I going to write an offer on this? So, and now I'm headed north. And it's showing this farm is north of. Hey guys, Kapper here. Welcome back. This is part 2 of this particular property. If you missed part 1 and you want to see it, I'll put a link in the description below. Part 1, we mainly checked out the house, which was very nice. It's a manufactured home. So now today I'm going to hop on the gentleman's four-wheeler and we're going to take a ride around. There's a 153 acre piece and then there's 20 with the house. The total is 173, and he's done a lot of management work on it already. So anyways, I'll explain some of that as we go for this tour through the woods. So let's check it out and see what we decide.
I've had it.
This is the 20 trail here.
I've had a forest management plan done because I don't know if you're familiar with Missouri and the EQIP programs and the conservation programs and stuff. And the log, you know, be in charge of the loggers and all that. Right. If I decide I want to do that, otherwise I just have to pay him for his time. But I was going to do that. I'm hoping to be not having to worry about that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so you start. It comes up through here somewhere, and it'll come through here. So this is part of the one. It'll be the 153. This will be part of the 20. The one was. I can show you which one.
Okay.
Just between the... So the full plots don't look like they're planted because I just had the guy out a month ago making them bigger.
Okay.
So they need to be cleaned up a little, and then there's some brush piles that still need to be burned, but some people just push all the stuff up against the woods. I did that a little in some spots, but I'm trying to burn it all up.
So what's that white thing in the wood?
Part of that pond. They tried lining it. When they were building that pond, they put some kind of lining down first.
Okay.
It needs to be rebuilt. It needs to be... I started a guy cleaning the trees out around it. It needs to get all the trees around it, burn them up, and then just rebuild the whole pond is what it needs to be done. And I got a good...
There's the house.
Pretty good at the dozer and pretty fair price. But I ain't got to end the supply of money. And they're all over the place. I do really like them.
Yeah, having persimmons is a nice bonus.
So anyway, the line will come through here. So that's on the 153. This is this little food plot I put in. I got a feeder out down there now. I took all my trail cameras out. My wife and I walked last week and took them all out. But
okay.
This is just because we see them out here all the time.
What's that berm there?
That's a little water. That's another little pond.
Okay.
So it's going to come through here, and then it's going to angle over to the driveway where you came in, which is by that old, somewhere in here.
But do you
that old stump that's
do you own all the way to the road here?
I only own the road by the driveway and up. There's 14 acres out along the road down south of Springfield owns. And I've talked to her, but she don't live here. Nobody uses it.
So, but on this side of the road, there's a 14.
It's a triangle that goes down to the bottom of the hill. It's just It's not a very big piece of land, and I've talked to her about buying it.
All right, I'm gonna go up by the front here, where the front corner is. The 20-acre piece. All right, so now we're up at the north end of the 160. This is actually part of the the 20 for the house. The corner of the property where the front 20 meets the 160 is right up here on the left. You're going to see this fence line. You could see it right here, grown into a tree. So this trail that you're looking at straight ahead is basically the north perimeter road of the 160 now. We'll just take a nice ride and check it out. The trails are well groomed, well kept, very, very nice. Very nice trail system. I mean, it's a really nice property. Really nice. So I'm going to head up to the pond site, the one that's back in the woods that could be a potential future building site. But one of the other things that's really weighing on me with this property is the distance. I mean, this is well over 6 hours it was, and I kind of pushed it on this day, and I almost had a meltdown after coming home, with such a long road trip. That is a big thing. So I'm thinking, okay, most of the stuff we've looked at was about 3 to 4 hours. And so if I were to expand my perimeter out to 6 or 7 hours, land does get cheaper, the more rural you get. So we could look much farther down into Arkansas, where there's some really, really nice farms that are more affordable than up here in Missouri. So that's one of the things I'm considering, is this is the farthest farm so far that we have looked at out of all the whatever we looked at so far, 9 or 10, not to mention scouring them online, over and over, farm after farm after farm, and eliminating them online before we even get to see them. Just food for thought. Here's a look at the pond as it sits now. We just drove across the actual pond dam, and the pond dam is huge. It's very, very tall. This could be just, if you could get it, there's the pond dam. If you could get this thing sealed up, although you don't know how many tens of $1,000s of excavation work, you might need to bring in bentonite. I don't know if they put a core trench in there. Looking at the pond dam, they may have just pushed it up, which they do in Missouri, because I've actually hired several small ponds on our first farm that we had in the Ozarks, and all they do there is just push them up with a dozer. They don't build a core trench, at least for the smaller ones. So that's something to consider. Would it be a great lake in the woods? Oh, absolutely it would. But there's no telling what the cost would be.
153 acres, but you have to come by their house. Back here, I don't know if you could see the terrain. If you built back in here, this goes all straight uphill, so their house is up there. Let me take a quick snapshot here where we're at, right by the pond.
So here's a snapshot I took sitting right at the base of this pond. This would be great if money was no object. You could build your nice new home here. You could save the home up here by the front for the kids and visitors, and even if you did a little hunting and had some guests. But, whew, my goodness, the costs just rack up so fast right now, especially with the inflation we have had. But anyways, let's keep going on the tour of this beautiful property.
All right, here's the big plot. Look at the views over back this way. Nice shoot house. See the next mountain over that way. Rock piles truck. Got a long way from home. Alright, heading back out. So the line where that 14 acres is right about where that power pole is. So you could have a neighbor up here along the road. That's one of the big drawbacks. One of the big drawbacks. It's a positive but and a negative. I see there's a trail down there, so this must be the edge of his 160. So this is that 14 acres right here. It comes right up to the driveway, right here. This is the 14 acre piece right up by the road. I just turned right out of the driveway. So the only quote real neighbor you have, this is the old barn there that's on this property up in the front. You could sell off a 5 if you wanted to, right up here. Get yourself a new neighbor. Now here's these 3 little mobile homes. Here's the property on the right. The 5 acre piece, and then here's your next neighbor, the cattle farm, I presume. Or he said there's a church and then a neighbor.
All right, so let's give you our decision. Thanks for joining us. First of all, if you enjoy this stuff, please hit the like button, consider subscribing and sharing it. It would really help us out. We put a lot of work into making this stuff real life and real time as it happens. So we did talk about price. I did talk to him about package pricing because he has been trying to sell it in 2 different parcels, and I don't blame him because that's kind of what we're doing here at our Illinois farm. We had to parcel it off to try to sell it. So we talked the price for the total package, and at this point, at least, we haven't done a written offer to try and actually follow through on it. The distance is really one of the big hang-ups, being by the time you stop a few times, 6.5 plus hours with good traffic and that, and we think about the move and moving, and healthcare and all those other considerations. And if we were to stay in the house up front, we would like a garage, kind of an attached garage, if you will. The barn space might be enough for my equipment. It's hard to say with that barn, but it would be a heck of a good start. And then we thought, well, gosh, if we tried to build something later, a couple of years down the road, would we be able to afford it? Especially trying to get Sharon out of work to retire, which the realistic answer is probably not. So at least at this moment, we got a few more on our radar yet, but at least at this moment, we haven't put in an official offer with him. But we did have some pricing. This is by far the most reasonable farm out of everything we've looked at and the most bang for the buck. So if someone else is looking out there and you jump on this, I sure would not blame you. It's a beautiful farm. But anyway, stay tuned for the next one and our other episodes. We'll see what happens one day at a time. Take care. Thanks.